to the next point. We should ensure that whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. If we can see that it is in opposite direction. It is against.
My good students, I, Mr. Yacob Fidelis, welcome you to another beautiful segment of our lesson in mathematics, senior secondary school. We are still considering a topic, simultaneous linear equations, and the subtopic, method of solving simultaneous linear equations. Today, we are considering the second method known as substitution method. We are considering the second method known as substitution method. But before we go further, I want to draw your attention. Simultaneous equations is a very broad topic. That is why I am taking my time to teach you accordingly. So ensure you follow by practicing. When you practice, you understand better. You could recall that under the elimination method, we treated about 4 examples. And you can agree with me that each example has a different technique in which I worked. So you are to follow the technique appropriately and you appreciate it better. Today, by the grace of God, we are seeing the substitution method. There are procedures that are also guiding the substitution method. In using substitution method to solve simultaneous linear equations, one of the variables in the 2 equations must be made as the subject of the formula. Take note, in solving simultaneous equations, by using substitution method, the first procedure is that one of the 2 unknowns must be made as the subject of the formula, particularly the unknown which has 1 as its coefficient. Particularly, the unknown which has 1 as its coefficient. After an unknown has been made as the subject, then the next procedure is to substitute the value of that unknown in the other equation. To substitute the value of that unknown in the other equation. But before we continue, I want you to know that as soon as we made an unknown the subject of the formula in any of the 2 equations, then you form the 3rd equation. Then you form the 3rd equation. So as you can see, substitute in the other equation and solve to get the value of the first unknown. After which, you substitute in any of the equations, preferably equation 3, to obtain the value of the other unknown or the variable. What I'm saying, because it's very paramount. After you have made an unknown the subject of the formula, then you form equation 3. Then you solve the equation simultaneously. When you get the value of the first unknown, to get the value of the second unknown, you substitute in the 3rd equation to simplify your work. To simplify your work. We have examples. Solve the following equations by substitution method. Solve the following equations by substitution method. 1. 4x minus y equals 11. 4x minus y equals 11. And 5x plus 2y equals 4. 5x plus 2y equals 4. Solution. You can now see that in equation 1, the coefficient of x is 4, and the coefficient of y is minus 1. Then in equation 2, the coefficient of x is 5, and the coefficient of y is 2. So by going with the procedures that I have taught you, by considering equation 1, you could see that the coefficient of y is 1. So it's preferably you have to make y the subject of the formula to simplify your work. I am not saying that any other coefficient that is greater than 1, you cannot make it a subject. You can do it, but actually it will take your time. It will take your time. That is why to shorten your time, just find a variable which has 1 as its coefficient, make it a subject, then you go further. So from equation 1, by making y the subject, you can see that your y is equals to 4x minus 11. Y equals to 4x minus 11. Why is it 4x minus 11? I got that by collecting the like terms. You see, when plus 11 crosses to the right-hand side, it becomes minus 11. So that is why I have 4x minus 11. And when minus y crosses to the right-hand side, become plus y. Recall that when a number crosses an equal sign, either to the right or to the left, the sign changes. That is the standard rule that is binding solving equations. So don't forget that. So that is why we have our y equals to 4x minus 11. And that gives us equation 3. Now, substitute the value of y in equation 2. Substitute the value of y in equation 2. So, I now have 5x as the first term, then plus 2x plus 2y. Recall that our y is equals to 4x minus 11. Our y equals to 4x minus 11. So that becomes plus 2 into 4x minus 11 equals to 4. Now, my 5x is written down. Then I will now clear or remove the bracket. Clearing or removing the bracket. 2 times 4x, that gives me 8x. Then 2 times minus 11, that gives minus 22 equals to 4. On the left, 5x plus 8x, just like 5 oranges plus 8 oranges, that gives 13 oranges. So that gives us 13x there. Minus 22, still on the left, equals to 4 on the right. Now, minus 22 and 4 are constants, or you can say they are like terms. So when minus 22 crosses to the right, the sign changes. It becomes plus 22. So I now have 13x equals to 4 plus 22. So 4 plus 22, the answer is 26. 4 plus 22, the answer is 26. So I now have 13x equals to 26. To find the value of x, we are to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, otherwise known as the multiplier of x. So the coefficient of x here is 13. So divide both sides by 13. And that gives 13x over 13 equals to 26 over 13. And 13x divided by 13, you'll be left with 1x or x. You'll be left with 1x or x. And 26 divided by 13, the answer is 2. 26 divided by 13, the answer is 2. So your x now equals 2. Now, substitute the value of x in equation 3 for y. Substitute the value of x in equation 3 for what? For y. Equation 3. Y is equals to 4x minus 11. Y equals to 4x minus 11. Recall that our x is equals to 2. So my y on the left is written equals to 4 times 2 because the value of x is 2. Then minus 11. What is 4 times 2? 4 times 2, the answer is 8. 4 times 2, the answer is 8. So that gives y equals to 8 minus 11. Y equals to 8 minus 11. And by the idea of the directed numbers, 8 minus 11, the answer is minus 3. 8 minus 11, the answer is minus 3. So our y equals minus 3. Conclusively, our x equals to 2 and our y equals to minus 3. Example number 2. We are to solve 3p plus 2q equals to 7. 3p plus 2q equals to 7. And 7p minus 3q equals to 1. 7p minus 3q equals to 1. So 3p plus 2q equals to 7, I name it equation 1. And 7p minus 3q equals to 1, I name it equation 2. Now, if you look at both equations, both unknowns have the coefficient that is greater than 1. The coefficient of p in 1 is 3. Coefficient of p in 2 is 7. Coefficient of q in 1 is 2. And this one is minus 3. But by solving, you can consider that to be 3. Now, you are free to make any of the unknown the subject of the formula. So, I now chose equation 2. From equation 2, if you make q the subject of the formula, then your q becomes 7p minus 1 all over 3. Your q becomes 7p minus 1 all over 3. Why is it that? Look at the equation 2. By collecting the like term, 7p has no q and 1 has no q. So that shows 7p and 1 are like terms. 7p and 1 are like terms. 1 plus 1 crosses to the left becomes minus 1. 1 plus 1 crosses to the left becomes minus 1. And 1 minus 3q crosses to the right become plus 3q. So now, on the left, I will have 7p minus 1, and on the right, I have 3p. So the coefficient of q is 3. When you divide both sides by 3, then your q will be 7p minus 1 all over 3. And that becomes equation 3. That becomes equation 3. Now, substitute the value of q in equation 1. Substitute the value of q in equation 1. In equation 1, the first term is 3p. The first term is 3p. Second term is plus 2q. Plus 2q. So our 2 there is written multiplying the value of q, which is 7p minus 1 over 3. So that becomes 3p plus 2 into 7p minus 1 over 3 equals to 7. Now, to remove the bracket, 2 times 7p, the answer is 14p. 2 times minus 1, the answer is minus 2, all over 3. So on the left, I have 3p plus 14p minus 2 all over 3 equals to 7. 3p plus 14p minus 2 over 3 equals to 7. The LCM of the denominators is 3. The LCM of the denominators is 3. So I multiply through by 3. That means each term times 3. So 3p times 3 plus 14p minus 2 over 3 also times 3 equals to 7 times 3. 3p times 3, the answer is 9p. 3p times 3, the answer is 9p. Then 3p, 3 in the denominator, that is under 14p minus 2 over 3. You can see that 3 in the denominator will cancel 3 in the numerator. In other words, 3 in the numerator divided by 3 in the denominator, that gives us 1. 3 in the numerator divided by 3 in the numerator divided by 3 in the denominator, that will give us 1. So we are now going to have 14p minus 2 divided by 1. 14p minus 2 divided by 1. and that gives us 14p minus 2 equals to the right-hand side, which is 7 times 3. And 7 times 3 is equals to 21. 7 times 3 equals to 21. Now, 9p plus 14p is equals to 23p. 9p plus 14p equals to 23p. And y minus 2 crosses to the right, become plus 2. Y minus 2 crosses to the right, become plus 2. That gives 23p equals to 21 plus 2. And of course, 21 plus 2 equals to 23. 21 plus 2 equals to 23. Now, we are looking for the value of p. To get the value of p, we are to divide both sides by 23, which is the multiplier or the coefficient of p. So by that, I have 23p over 23 equals to 23 over 23. And 23 divided by 23, the answer is p. 23p divided by 23, the answer is p. And 23 divided by 23, the answer is 1. That gives our p equals 1. That gives our p equals 1. Now, we are to substitute the value of p in equation 3 to obtain the value of q. What is our q? Recall that our q is equals to 7p minus 1 over 3. So, your q now becomes 7 times p, and the value of p is 1. So, that becomes 7 times 1 minus 1 over 3. 7 times 1 minus 1 over 3. What is 7 times 1? The answer is 7. Then minus 1 over 3. And what is 7 minus 1? 7 minus 1, the answer is 6. 6 now, divided by 3, that gives you 2. 6 now, divided by 3, that gives you 2. Therefore, our p equals 1 and our q equals 2. My dear students, before we stop for the day, I want to go through the summary for better understanding. I want you to take note. The fundamental principles or the procedures of substitution method. 1, I told you, you must make one of the unknowns the subject of the formula. You must make one of the unknowns the subject of the formula. And by making the subject of the formula, you are to apply the method of solving simple linear equations. You are to apply the method of solving simple linear equations. Now, number 2, after making one of the unknown the subject of the formula, then the equation, the new equation obtained becomes an equation 3. Becomes an equation 3. And don't forget, in making a variable the subject of the formula, please always look for a variable that has 1 as its coefficient. Always look for a variable that has 1 as its coefficient. Now, after making an unknown the subject of the formula, then you go further to solve. Then, by getting the first value of the unknown, then you substitute in equation 3 to get the second value. Let me quickly repeat example number 1 for better understanding. Number 1 says 4x minus y equals 11. 4x minus y equals 11. And 5x plus 2y equals to 4. And 5x plus 2y equals to 4. Now, I name 4x minus y equals to 11 equation 1, and 5x plus 2y equals to 4 equation 2. Then, from equation 1, why am I considering equation 1? Because the coefficient of y there is 1, even though it's negative 1, but I'm using 1 for simplification. So now, I am making y the subject of the formula. Now, by collecting the like terms, 1 plus 11 crosses to the right becomes minus 11. 1 plus 11 crosses to the right becomes minus 11. So the left now becomes 4x minus 11. And when negative y from the left crosses to the right becomes plus y. When negative y from the left crosses to the right becomes positive. So your y now equals to 4x minus 11, which is equation 3. Now, we are to substitute the value of y in equation 2 for solving. We are to substitute the value of y in equation 2 for solving. So, the first term is 5x plus 2y. So, that becomes plus 2 times the value of y, which is 4x minus 11, then equals to 4. Now, by clearing the bracket, 2 times 4x, the answer is 8x. 2 times 4x, the answer is 8x. And 2 times minus 11, the answer is minus 22. So, I now have 5x plus 8x minus 22 equals to 4. And 5x plus 8x, just like you can have 5 apples plus 8 apples. That will give us 13 apples. Then minus 22 equals to 4. So, by collecting the like terms, minus 22 and 4 are like terms. So, when minus 22 crosses to the right, become plus 22. When minus 22 crosses to the right, become plus 22. So, 4 plus 22, the answer is 26. So, I now have 13x equals to 26. To find the value of x, I divided both sides by the coefficient of x or the multiply of x, which is 13. So that gives 13x over 13 equals to 26 also over 13. And 13x divided by 13, the answer is 1x or x. Well, 26 divided by 13, the answer is 2. So our x becomes 2. Next, I substituted the value of x in equation 3 for y. I substituted the value of x in equation 3 for y. So y equals to 4x minus 11, which is equation 3. So your y now equals 4 times the value of x, which is 2, minus 11. And 4 times 2 equals to 8. 4 times 2 equals to 8. So that gives y equals 8 minus 11. 8 minus 11. By the idea of the director numbers, 8 minus 11, the answer is minus 3. 8 minus 11, the answer is minus 3. Conclusively, our x is equals to 2 and our y becomes minus 3. Before we stop for the day, my esteemed student, I have an assignment for you. But don't forget, I told you from the inception of this topic that this topic, simultaneous question, is broadened. It needs your time, it needs your effort for proper assimilation. That is why I am taking my time to teach you gradually so that you can appreciate what mathematics is all about. Now, I have an assignment for you. Solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations by substitution method. Solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations by substitution method. 1. 5x minus 2y equals minus 23. 5x minus 2y equals minus 23. And 3x plus 4y equals 7. 3x plus 4y equals 7. Number 2, 3a plus 4b equals 0. 3a plus 4b equals 0. And a equals to 2b minus 5. And a equals to 2b minus 5. Let me quickly take that again. 1. 5x minus 2y equals minus 23. And 3x plus 4y equals 7. Number 2. 3a plus 4b equals 0. And a equals 2b minus 5. The reference, New Journal Mathematics for Senior Secondary School by M.F. Macri, Z.I. Chima, G.U. Garba, and Ital. I remain Mr. Yakubu Fidelix. You can get me through this number as usual, 080-2525-5287. Mr. Yakubu Fidelix, 080-2525-5287. My dear SS3, those that are preparing to write NECO, this topic is very, very vital. Please work hard on it. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, and keep learning well.